CC McGraw, the Prior Lake native, is one of the best Gopher volleyball players to ever play the sport. She leaves the program with over 1,900 digs. That's good for a third all time. She's a two-time Big Ten first teamer, and she's a two-time All-American honorable mention. So she's been there, she's done that. I talked to CC for over 30 minutes about a bunch of things in volleyball. Performance anxiety, which a bunch of athletes deal with, submitting to coaching once you get to the college level, refining your skills, getting a little bit more technical. We talked about leadership, developing as a leader throughout your young adulthood, everything. Now, we can't give you a 30-minute conversation, so in this condensed version, we touch on those subjects and a few more. So without further ado, here's me and CC McGraw. I was a college athlete as well. I'm surprised what things I miss about the sport. I'm curious for you, what was your favorite part?
When I think about volleyball and like my whole life playing it and stuff, my one takeaway from the experience was the relationships, like my teammates and stuff. Those are some of my best friends that I've had. Like those are my closest buds. So like I think that was like the best part of it, you know, getting to compete, getting to do all that was super cool and an incredible experience to play at that level. But I think the people that I met through the sport and the relationships that I built is something that I'll never take for granted. Like that was definitely the highlight of my experience.
Your feelings, first practice, first game, what was that step and how steep did it feel?
I don't know if it was necessarily like the speed of the game that was like overwhelming for me. I think being at Minnesota, having gone a semester early, I was there when I was like 17. The way Hugh McCutcheon kind of went about it, it was like, okay, you have a lot of like inefficiencies. You've been a great volleyball player, and that's helped like at the club level, like you can get away with a lot of stuff. But like those kind of inefficiencies aren't gonna work at the next level. So like we basically had to like start from scratch. He's like, hey, we're gonna teach you, you're gonna relearn how to pass, you're gonna relearn how to set, we're gonna completely change your serve and the way we go about that. So I think that at first was just like, oh my gosh, like I was just kind of having like imposter syndrome, like am I good enough to be here? Like he's changing everything about the way I play, and it was kind of hard to wrap your mind around. Like then he's like, hey, you're gonna get worse before you get better. And I was like, as a young kid and you're trying to fit into this new team and you feel a lot worse, it's hard to just like trust the process. It's not to say he wanted to change like everything, but he was incredibly technical. Like the way our practices were structured, it was a lot of like, okay, we're not gonna have 1,000,000 reps, we're gonna have like 20, and then we're gonna like give you a ton of feedback on those reps. Like they really go for like quality over quantity, so that you roll in and you're like, oh my god, like this is so much information and I must suck if I'm hearing all this feedback, because you're still young. And like, so I think that was like a huge adjustment for me. Like you're trying to compete for a spot, but you're trying to make changes and learn and improve your game while you're still trying to prove yourself and earn your spot on the court. So it's like, that's something that a lot of freshmen struggle with, I think, coming in.
I'm curious, what was your mental health and mental awareness journey? How did you combat kind of the demons, the weaknesses, the I sucks, the I can't do this in a game, and to kind of get back to your center?
That was definitely a challenge for me, because I think after my freshman year, I was like, oh man, like I think I have actual performance anxiety. Like this is crazy. Mm-hmm. And it's way more common than you think. Like people don't want to talk about it because you're like, you just feel like you're in your own like world. When I was like a freshman playing, like starting as libero and stuff, like if I was having a bad match, like it was so hard for me to like pull myself out of that. I mean, serve receive is definitely it's all mental. It really is. And so like my freshman year, I always loved defense more, because it was like that's more just like reacting and just like you have no time to think because it's coming at you so quick. Whereas serve receive, it's like, okay, I'm getting ready for the serve. Okay, like the ball's coming at you. Like you have all this time to like, don't mess it up, make this angle, do this. I came to a point in time in my career where I was like, you know what, Cease, like you know what you need to do. You've had the repetitions. You need to just do what your body needs to do to like make the pass.
And I'm always curious what you do to maintain energy. How do you balance your energy? Can you get too high too early? Walk me through just as someone who's playing throughout the entire game, how do you stay where you know you can make it the whole way? What was that process like?
He would always talk to us about this, but we always talked about the importance of energy over emotion, because a lot of teams that you would play, like they were very high and very low, because like with emotion and stuff, like if you're just riding on that, you're going to go with the flow of the game. Whereas like he always talked about like Minnesota volleyball, like you want to be steady energy, like the whole way, whether you win or lose a point, you got to be like consistent. As like a libero especially, you know, like you kind of have like maybe one or two jobs. Like one is like, okay, pass and dig the ball, like your first contact, that's your role, you're running the back row. Second, like you're kind of the energy, you know, like you're the energy of the team, you're amping everyone up, you're making sure everyone's in it, locked in. Like even if I was having a bad match, that was no excuse for me to like kind of check out mentally, because like that is your role as the bro. Like you got to make sure that you're giving energy, even if it's maybe not your best match. Like you have to be selfless and like make that a priority.
What was it like to wear the Minnesota jersey being a Minnesotan? And I'll just say, in the retrospective, I'm sure you could have gone to other places. So along with that, I'm also curious why you stayed, because I think some elite high school athletes feel compelled to go somewhere else to prove it. And I think sometimes they think going home is the easy choice. Why did you stay, and what did it feel like when you did?
For me, it was about staying close to home, being close to my siblings, having them in my matches, and getting to represent my home state. And you get to play for Hugh McCutcheon, the former Olympic coach. It's this incredible academic institution. So there were a lot of reasons for me to stay. I'm super happy that I made that decision. I think a lot of kids back in the day, when you would make a commitment that early, maybe you didn't develop as much as the coach had thought you would, and then like they maybe pull your scholarship, or B, you get to campus thinking, had some expectation in your head, like, oh, this is what the visit was like. Maybe I didn't ask all the right questions because I was 12. My decision paid off. It worked in my favor. Like, I had nothing but amazing things to say about my time in Minnesota.
CC McGraw now resides in Louisville, Kentucky, where she is an assistant coach for the Cardinals of Louisville. Thank you once again for tuning in to another edition of Senior Spotlight. My name is Alex Zappa. We'll catch you next time.